Hello, my name is Emma Stevenson, and I chose to talk about whale evolution. So, introduction / background, a little bit about whales. So, whales are continually evolving. They were able to transform from being a mammal that lived on land to be a mammal that lived in the ocean. And this is a slow process that we were able to witness through fossils. So whales, they had to have a transitional period to be able to live in the ocean. So they had transitions where they lived both land and sea. And they had times where they just lived on land, and they had times and now they just live in the ocean. So this whale was able to just continually evolve, and because of this, we were able to see the changes in their eyes, ears, how they moved, their reproduction, and everything, because we have fossils or have this knowledge of evolution. And just a little bit of background, the whale phylogeny, it includes, they're called the crustaceans, and it includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. So the transition of it all. The whales, in the early middle Eocene Remingtonsidae have skeletons that show that they were a transitional whale. So this Eocene, they were amphibious, and so they could live both in on the land and on sea. But they always swam, and they were considered to be almost otter-like. They're terrestrial species and they still had limbs. They had hind limbs. And then there's also the species Basilosauridae, and they are morphologically more like the modern whale. They were only able to live in the ocean. They had reduced limbs. They were lacking bony connections to the vertebral column, which allowed them to move and be fully aquatic. So, because of transitioning from land to living now in the ocean, they had to change their diet. And this caused the whales to change the shape of their teeth. So a teeth that is, a whale that has teeth, they're low-crowned and, quadripercular cusps. And then a whale that has teeth is called a toothed whale, and then a whale that does not have teeth is called a baleen whale. And baleen is a type of filtering, it's almost like a thread-like tooth. It's this middle picture right here. This is an example of baleen. And those whales that have baleen, they are able to filter feed, and they often will just swim with their mouths open and just catch whatever comes in and filter it through. So what baleen is a lot of blood supply, to have fast growing tissue, and it just kind of is this long thread, almost made out of the same stuff that teeth are. And so this was able to show that different transitions that the whales had to go through depending on their environments. So respiration. Whales' respiration then transformed into what we call a blowhole. And this is actually extremely similar to a mammal's nose or snout. It's located in their head and it's level with their eyes, similar to a mammal. And it's meant to help breathing in the aquatic environment. Mammals also have 3 lungs, whereas most whales also have three lungs, whereas most mammals are known to just have 2. It's still unknown why they have 3, but they do have 3. It's assumed to have helped with the switch from land to aquatic life and being able to really breathe underwater, whereas they originally breathed on land. So the locomotion. So this is probably the biggest change that they had to go through. Whales changed to having flippers, so they had to shorten their long bones of the forelimbs, the hyperphylogeny, the indigital webbing. They had extreme loss of movement in their joints and forelimbs. That's something that's different. Compared to others, is their external hind limbs. Whales are able to evolve continually, and because of this, they were able to anatomically completely change and now live in the ocean. So hearing. So we know that we, as people that live, we have on the land, we have an outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear. And we have an external auditory meatus and things like that. But whales, because of their now living in the ocean, what they have is an external auditory meatus, is by the mandible, but it's fat-filled, and it's able to send vibrations into the inner ear, and that's how they are able to hear underwater. So reproduction. So whales are actually, so they're very closely related to hippos, and the whales they breed underwater similar to hippos. Hippos also will mate and give birth underwater and nurse underwater, and that's extremely similar to whales. So they used to give birth on land, and throughout time, as they transitioned to aquatic life, they began to give birth underwater. This is something important to evolution because they're had to have viable offspring as they're continuing to evolve, and the more that they bred and gave birth underwater and things like that, their offspring then were able to evolve to continually be more and more in water. So, in conclusion of everything, the evolution of the whale is something that's happened over billions and billions of years. They've had to transition and adapt to the environments that we're into today. They're a complex mammal. They're unlike many others. And this is because of the evolution that they had to go through. Not many species were able to transition from living on land to now living in the ocean. Whales have many homologous structures that show their relation to mammals and allowing us to better understand their similarities and differences with the common ancestors. And we're also able to see how behaviorally they're related to hippos. Whales are an example of the theory of evolution, and they're able to really thrive in conditions that seemed that they were almost impossible. And I think that the theory of evolution is really able to be seen as we look at the whole picture, and it's really unique. And I had a really great time learning more about their evolution and about these different parts of them that have changed throughout history.